Hey, what's going on, everyone? I have with me the owner of Kinstruct Tiny Homes. Her name is Jess Stevenson. She's been running that company with her family members over the past at least year. But Jessica, I will let you tell your story. How's the ADU space been treating you?
Yeah. Hey, Wayne, thanks for having me on. ADU space, tiny home space is great, getting busier by the day. The laws just changed here in New Hampshire less than 2 months ago. So we've been seeing some good kind of feedback, good questions kind of trickle down from that as homeowners in New Hampshire start to kind of navigate this new landscape and cities and towns in New Hampshire start to navigate this new landscape as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a newer landscape. I know that I talked to you about it, and I talked to a lot of the others that we work with too about how we even now, a year into it, we are still kind of creating the market in a way. There's still so much education that needs to go on. And you brought up something from a client right before we got on this call. Well, why don't you read what you got from your newsletter last night, so that way we can provide to dive into that and provide some context to it.
Yeah, this was from a local homeowner in New Hampshire. Every month we try to send out a newsletter with like what we have going on, what we have coming up, welcoming new families that are building accessory dwelling units. And then for each month, we try to highlight one piece of the new law to just break it down. Because I don't know if you've ever read a law that's been written, but it's great bedtime reading material. It's kind of a snooze fest, but also important stuff. So we try to take like one little piece of that and break it down as to like what it means in real life and what it means for your property. So this woman just replied to our newsletter and she said, I just want to say that your idea of this newsletter is great. So many of us don't know the ins and outs of building an ADU. It's all new to some people. The internet, she said, has not been helpful with honest information in the way these are getting built and the actual cost and who builds them. So she was just asking, congratulating us for giving helpful, actual, useful, relevant information for New Hampshire, and then asking about, information on a recent build that we did.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Like, to get that kind of feedback from your clients, it really knows that you've kind of like nailed your messaging. You've got a good community around you. You've built a good, what I call brand equity, and you can actually leverage that in ways to be helpful to the community, provide your solution all without being salesy. That's one thing I've always really admired about you and Mark and the team over there, is the fact that you guys really take an honest approach, and you guys are just like trying to be part of the community, and you guys have done so much like for that community, and you guys have like done so many events and all that stuff. What would you guys say is the biggest separator between you and anybody else that's coming into the market right now? Other than the fact that you guys were, for the longest time, the only one. I know you're not
Yeah.
now.
I think the biggest separator that I kind of really pride myself on is the education piece. We want to be that contractor that is taking the calls, talking to families, meeting families on site. Lots of times it's not just the homeowner, right? We're dealing with the homeowner, mom and dad, maybe some siblings that are involved in trust planning and estate planning. And we are really, really all inclusive in that we try to educate people on, of course we can come in and build this, you can find a contractor to come in and build this, but there's so much more to it. There's planning for it, there's financing, there's sometimes selling another piece of real estate that is involved with this for the financing piece.
Yeah.
Handle that too. We have local relationships with lenders that are right here in New Hampshire that have ADU specific products that other contractors might not even know about. So we educate on that piece. What's the difference between using an ADU loan and a home equity line of credit? We have the education around that. We're talking to families about that every single day. So I think that what really separates us is that education piece and really knowing the law too, line by line. Like we know every single piece of this law. And honestly, as we're navigating through this new change with communities and stuff, it's a good conversation with the cities and towns in New Hampshire as to like, how are you implementing this new law? What do you need from us? What do we need from you as a local municipality? What are you looking for? And then just knowing how to move forward and then educating the homeowner. Hey, here's what we're going to have to do. A, B, C, D, E. This is it. We're going to take it one step at a time. It's not going to be overwhelming. And that's how we're really kind of, I think, standing apart from just a run of the mill GC. is that we're only focusing on these ADUs and really specializing in it. We're not worried about, you know, we're not taking jobs that are one-offs, kind of building a deck,
Yeah. A kitchen
renovating a
remodel
bathroom.
or a deck or something like that.
Just,
Yeah.
yeah, we're just doing the ADUs. So that's really what we want to be really good at and excel in.
Okay, yeah. And you know what I find very telling? Obviously, both I've only done, you guys are only the second one of these that I've done. I did Brad right before you guys, and I did
Yeah.
one of the, now I'm doing this one. And your guys' answer for that question was almost the exact same, but you guys said it a
Really?
very different way. Yeah. Yes, right. And we all like look to like sales being the leader, sales being the solver of all problems. But what both of you have told me is that by focusing on the education and by sharing with your consumer base what the actual solutions are and how much there is to actually know about this one topic by itself is a game changer, and it can be a difference between having a great finished product and one that you don't really want to live in after it's been delivered. And
Exactly.
it's through education, it's through caring about the product, the client, it's about listening to their needs, and it's about making sure that they get the best solution for them.
Yep. It
And
is.
and
I
that
literally
and all
3
that's the
days ago,
education process.
it is in 3 days ago, I had another contractor call me asking me questions about the ADU process for a certain town that they had a client in because they were unsure of the ADU process. And they knew, and I was their go-to for the ADU piece of it, even though they're a GC in their building and all of that.
You know what I like to call that, Jess? I like to call that a mark of mastery.
Here you go.
When they
Yep.
got the other people coming to you for the answers that
Yep.
they should know, right?
Yep.
Okay, so obviously, just I can tell by your tone of voice and like, the way that you speak about this topic that you spent a lot of time working on that particular part of the business. Was it because like when we first started a year ago, right? Like I know you were facing the challenges of the franchise and all that stuff. We don't need to get into that. But what was besides that whole thing? What would you say is the biggest challenge that you faced a year ago? And what have you gone through to solve that challenge both for your clients as well as yourself?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge a year ago was just navigating the different rules in the municipalities. So some towns would allow detached ADUs, some towns wouldn't, some towns had a special process you had to go through, and literally every single town could be 1 minute apart driving distance, and you have vastly different rules for ADUs, which was wild. And to the point where homeowners were thinking like, oh, these aren't allowed, when really they have been allowed since 2017. So the passage of the new law that makes the detached
Statewide, yeah.
ADUs
Mhm.
statewide by right, no, planning board meetings, no conditional use permits, nothing like that. That's really helped a lot. But now the challenge has just kind of shifted. Now the challenge for the next year or so is going to be how are cities and towns implementing this new law, and what does this look like for them? So they have to follow the rules, of course, that's coming down from the state. But they're figuring that out, and we're kind of figuring that out with them. Let's put the package together. Let's apply for your permit. Let's do this the right way, because their zoning is not going to catch up to this new law for probably about a year. So
Oh, really? That's
yeah.
actually a great position. Well, what's funny about that too. Well, I wouldn't say it's funny, and it's not surprising when you put it that way. Is that when we set up that campaign after that law was passed for you, it was the easiest campaign we put together for you, and it was the fastest to generate that kind of return.
Mhm.
And keep in mind, like we started with you guys with 4 angles. It was like the aging parents, the garage conversions, the extra space for rental income, and then the kids, the boomerang kids. Now
Yep.
we've got over a dozen angles that we work with you guys, and just having that direct style ad that's talking about news and all that stuff,
Yep.
it's a long-term winner for sure. It's something that we can reword and go back to again and again.
Yeah. Well, it's the
Um,
same. Families have the same needs and questions again and again. So it's just so applicable across the board.
yeah, for sure. What was there anything that like surprised you about the process and learning all this stuff that you didn't know
Um,
or didn't
about
take
the
into
process
consideration
of the ads, or about the ADUs, or
about
about
the
building?
ADUs, about building ADUs? Because you come from a family of builders in a way,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Um, I don't think necessarily surprised would be the right word. I think we were maybe like not expecting the amount of the administrative lift that goes along with the permitting, and that's a constant educational piece too for people when people say, oh no, I don't need to talk to you right now, I'm not, it's September, October, and they say, oh, I don't need to talk to you right now, I don't want to build this until the spring. Well, then no, then you do need to talk to me right now because obviously, like any other builder, our schedule fills up, but also, this takes months to design and plan and permit, coordinate utilities. Sometimes we're at the mercy of the electric company, the gas company. We're moving propane tanks underground. We got to get all of that stuff coordinated out of the way first before we're actually breaking ground on your build. And that can take months. So I think that was not surprising from our standpoint necessarily, just figuring out a process around that and how do we make this smoother for homeowners, right? Like even something as silly as moving your underground sprinkler system, like your irrigation system, we're going to break that. We're going to dig a hole and we're going to break it. So like, let's coordinate and get that moved out of the way. Let's have your landscaper come in, move that, get it out of the way before we're on site. So stuff like that, learning how to make it smoother and easier for the homeowner.
Okay, yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Like so many people think that it's the front end of the business that makes everything go, but in my personal opinion, it's that middle part where you kind of like have those human relationships and the sales process, and then like the sales process has to move seamlessly into the operations, and more at least from my perspective, and I'd love to get your input on this too. This is a more heavy pipeline and follow-up based business than almost anything else out there. Like
100%.
I think the only thing that would be more pipeline based is either commercial real estate or B2B business sales. Right. And keep in mind, I've sold everything like all the way up to an 8-figure business loan. 8-figure business loans do not take as long to close as a tiny home deal. They don't.
Right.
Right. How much time would you say that you spend on the follow-up process, and like how much effort has to go into that?
Oh gosh, it can be months. It can be upwards. Some people reach out to us and they say right off the bat, listen, we're a year out. We're 2027, we're looking at this. We're 2028, we're looking at this. And they're already starting to do their research because it's a long, obviously it's a high ticket item. They're building a whole house. So it's a high ticket sales item. We know that. But in addition to that, it's also an emotionally charged high ticket item because it's real estate. And then it's even more emotionally charged because it's your family. So you're figuring out this multi-generational, for some people, mom and dad already live there. It's not a big deal. For other people, this is going to be new. This is going to be a new dynamic. So we're bringing mom in. She's going to live here. We haven't lived under the same roof since I was a kid, but now we're all adults and we all have our own families and we're blending these two families.
Yeah.
And it's a big decision for people. And so, like I said, we have sometimes siblings get involved too, because now we're not only talking about blending families and making this emotionally heavy decision that's a long-term decision. You're not making this decision for it's going to affect you for the next year or two. This is a long-term decision.
This is going to affect the rest of your life probably.
And so your siblings need to be on board. If who's going to care for mom, what does this look like in 5 years when she's aging in place, all that kind of stuff. So there's so many factors that go into it, and we get families all the time being like, I'm so sorry, we need to just figure this out. And we're like, no, we get it. Like that's literally the name of the game.
Well,
so
I remember that's where the Kinstruct name kind of came from, is the fact that it's a family business and you guys deal with like where people get with their kin on. So
kin is family.
For the audience. I don't remember exactly. I'm going to butcher it if I do.
So Mark's mom, my husband Mark, is a partner in this business as well, and his mom has lived with us for over 10 years. We have 3 kids, now 2 dogs, just got a puppy because life isn't busy enough. So when his mom, as she's getting older, as our kids are getting older, and Mark and I are in this sandwich generation, it's called, right? We're caring for our kids, we're caring for his mom, and we're running out of space. And the real estate market is tight. The inventory is low, prices are high, rates are high. So like if we are running out of space truly we were, what are we doing? Like, what's the plan? Where is Nana gonna go? Where does she
Yeah,
want to go?
yeah.
Where does it make sense for her to go? So we navigated this ourselves as our family for building an ADU for her on our property. And so going through that process, we kind of were enlightened as to the fact that like this is a process and there's a gazillion steps and there's nobody here to like we could navigate it and kind of stumble through it and figured it out, but we're like, why isn't somebody making this a wrapping
Easier.
this all up
Yeah.
in a package and putting a bow on it and delivering it and making it easier for homeowners because it's such a great solution once you're ready to commit. Like it's a great idea.
Yeah. 100%. And you know what's funny too is like the way you feel about that particular part of your business where it's like, this is a great solution. Why isn't more people packaging it? That's exactly how I felt when I was like in the solar industry and I was still an employee. It's like,
Mhm.
if we just packaged the whole thing together and we did the CRM system and we did the ads and we did the content and we did the website and we handled all of it in an ecosystem, then now the left hand knows
Mind
what the
blown.
right hand. Now the left hand knows what the right hand's doing, and then all of a sudden the marketing and the sales problems go away. So
Yep.
totally different process, but I understand exactly how you feel.
Yep.
Okay, so that's actually a really good segue. Like knowing the name, knowing the origins, and knowing all that stuff to this next question. Over the past 12 months, what wins, both personal and professional, are you most proud of?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so my personal and professional are like so meshed together.
Preaching to the choir. Like,
Yeah,
and that's the point.
yes,
Is most of the people that are going to see this are going to be in our audience. So,
yes.
like,
Okay.
so go ahead.
So I think professionally, I think just getting this thing off the ground and finishing a handful of jobs where we had this vision of this business at the beginning, and the vision was to help families that are exactly like us and have very similar needs and stuff like that. So, as we build the marketing, we build the pipeline, the sales, the closings, the actual builds, moving families in, and seeing that process from day one to completion is just so validating for us. So like super proud of the fact that like we
Yeah,
knew it. Like we knew there were other families that needed this. This is a thing right now. This is really, really a need for so many people. So having,
it's going to keep being a thing too for
I
a
know.
while, a long, for the foreseeable future.
Well, yeah, because it's such a great idea. So like it's a great solution. It's
Yes,
just such
100%.
a good solution. And then when mom no longer lives in it in 20 years because she's passed, maybe me and Mark are gonna move into that ADU and live there and give our kids the house. And then the cycle could just continue because this property is so versatile now and able to meet so many different needs. Maybe there's no family to live in it. Great, rent it out. That's another part of the new law in New Hampshire. You're allowed to rent it out. Family does not have to live in it. So, and that's specified in the new law. So that's super exciting too. So that's been a great kind of point of validation for us that we're really proud of is that like we had this idea, we thought there was other families that needed it, and turns out there were. And we were able to help them how we thought we were going to be able to help them. So that's been super, super cool. Um, and then I think on a more personal level, blending this with the real estate brokerage that I own has been I'm really proud of that too, because financing is a huge piece of this. Like we talked about, it's a big ticket
Yeah,
item.
yeah.
So many families use, mom's going to sell her house and build this ADU. Well, great. I mean, everybody knows a real estate agent. If you have one, you can use, great. But if not, we can wrap that into our services at a discount for you. And like you're getting this great listing, you're listing your property with a local agent, it's going on the market, you're using the funds, and because you're using the funds to build all this timing all needs to line up really, really tightly. And there's a lot of communication that needs to happen. So when we're able to keep that in-house, it's just super, super helpful for us as the builder,
It makes
as
it feel really white glove, I bet, right?
yes, that too, and for the families because it's all they got one point of contact, and that's Kinstruct, and everything's happening under one roof, and it helps kind of like I guess eliminate like the overwhelm that might come with, oh, we have to sell our house over here and get the finances and put them here and then let Kinstruct know and do the thing. And what if it's not the right time to do the thing with Kinstruct because of permitting and the timing for the finances and the design and the architect and all that? it's just, it eliminates that overwhelm for families. So that's something we're really proud of too.
That's really awesome. And if we're not already, we need to be weaving that more into your marketing message. And I think that that's just through coming through for this conversation, like
Yeah.
that's an area that Team Mayhem can definitely improve on our efforts for you, right? Like within the next week or so.
Yep.
So I'm glad this topic came up during this call, and I'll make sure to like address that this coming week.
Love it.
All right. So that being said, is that like I think that there's one thing that you and Brad really differ on. And what Brad's thing is Brad's like, look, like all the front end marketing is the reason for everything. It doesn't really like I don't get to where I am without that stuff. And with you, I think you and the Kinstruct team are much more like grassroots and more like content and relationship based.
Yeah.
What's been either number one, the most important part about the ecosystem for you, or like what's been different, like experiencing running all these appointments through an ecosystem versus like relying on Angie's List or something like that? Like how's that been different for you?
I think the difference would be more of like brand awareness and getting the name out. And I totally understand why me and Brad differ. In New Hampshire is a really small geographically. Obviously, we're much smaller than the
Yeah.
states out west, right? So there's something to be said for that. And our populate we're rural. We have lots of areas that are really, really rural. And so I think just getting people in New Hampshire, I don't think respond the same to maybe folks out west where there's bigger, flashier kind of advertising in your face. We don't respond to that kind of stuff out here because it kind of immediately, I don't know if you've ever met a New Englander, but we're kind of a special breed. We don't really trust people. So
Yeah.
there's that level of trust that we need to have in order to work with
Yeah, there's a
people.
lot. You either got to be one of the New Englanders, or you got to prove yourself to them before they let you in. That's a
Exactly. So that's been where I think our marketing has really done well, is that we are letting people know, hey, we're here, we're local, we literally live in the same state as you, we're not going anywhere. Here's what we have to offer. Here's how we can help. Here's how we can educate. And people in New Hampshire really respond well to that. So I think that's been super fun to see. And I can't tell you, everywhere we go with this shirt on, this logo, right? People
You're
go,
like,
oh,
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 yeah.
I saw you. Oh, I saw that. Oh, and we're like, yes. Right? Like just even like forget like the closed contracts, the sales, like obviously that's fantastic, but it's just as good to hear people say, oh, I
I know
recognize.
you. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen you on Instagram. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So that's
There's something weird about that social dopamine hit,
that,
but
right. Well,
right.
the real life one too. Sure, you can, click a like on Instagram or whatever all day long, but when you're out in the community and people recognize the brand, and then you're getting contractors and real estate agents call me all the time too. Can you explain ADUs? I have a client asking about it. I don't know how. Like we're the experts in this, and that's just it's a great feeling to be able to help.
Yep. And part of that's your guys' content strategy and authenticity. I'll just say that. And
Yeah.
then part of it's the digital newspaper stuff that we rotate in and out as well. So like having just those two. Here's what's funny is that when you only have those two elements, like just the content and just the digital newspaper, where we're like switching out content but paying a dollar or two a day,
Mm.
none of that stuff actually generates leads. But that's the stuff that people see that leads to those conversations and
Right.
the trust with the people that do become leads down the road.
Yep.
And
Yep. That's
a consistent mistake that I see people make, not just in the tiny home space, but marketing in general, is not putting enough of their budget into that type of marketing and that type of content, so that way they can actually achieve the results. And then they end up with like oh, I was just curious, or oh, what's the price, or oh, like who are you, like what, like are you guys actually here? And while you're always going to get a certain amount of that no matter what you do, like actually having content going and constantly putting effort and energy and money into that without expecting leads is how you get those people over on the other side of that fence.
makes total sense.
For sure. Okay, so this is actually a good segue. Um, I know that when I first started working with you guys, I probably presented a million crazy ideas that you're probably like, what the fuck is this? Okay. But I've noticed a mindset shift with the clients that have been with me. I know what my mindset shift for you was. What would you say is the biggest mindset shift you've had to endure
That's a tongue
over the
twister.
year? Yeah, over the
The
past year.
biggest mindset shift for us in terms of like just learning about this. Well, first of all, I don't know anything about running ads or marketing. Like, I shouldn't say that. I do know some because I have a background in real estate and I've been working as a real estate agent full time for, 8+ years. So I
Yeah.
know that when I got into real estate, I was a little bit shocked because I didn't realize that it wasn't actually about real estate. It was about marketing myself. And I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Yep.
I didn't get into this for marketing. I got into this to sell houses and real estate. So that was a mindset shift that I had to go through when I got my real estate license and went full time. And so starting this business, immediately going into it, I knew obviously marketing is everything, right? So I needed to, I think, just let go and kind of like let the experts do their job kind of thing.
There you go. That's because that's what it was for me too. For me, for you. This
I
is
don't
like,
know what I don't know about this. And so I just gotta like trust the process. And what I really didn't want to happen was I didn't want to get in the way and try to reinvent the wheel. And I'm not going to go in and tell you how to write ad copy because that's not what I do. I build.
that was the biggest shift for me too, is like bringing, because when you guys came to us a year ago, back, well, a little bit over a year ago in August last year, it was just me, Ashley, and one VA.
Mhm.
Now I had the resources to scale up, and I had like the connections and people, and obviously, some good, some bad with all that stuff. But that's my point is that like being able to give up that control and being able to like show somebody else how to do what you do, how you do it, it's a process.
Mhm.
And I know that there's that whole saying, hire slow, fire fast. But typically speaking, what I find is that when people are underperforming, it's not because that they don't have the skill or the know-how. It's not because they don't have the skill or the desire. It's because they either don't have the know-how or they don't have the why behind they're doing what they're doing in order to connect all the dots. And so it's our responsibility as business owners and leaders to give them that ability. And you guys have always been good with that with us, but like I can see like all of the control things that everybody wants to have and that just aren't realistic in order to get results. You have to let go of that control in order to achieve progress, for sure.
Like yeah, in that for your end, for other end, like you have to. You're never going to scale or grow if you're not letting the person. I'm a firm believer that there's always somebody, like every little piece of this job that I'm doing, there's somebody out there that can do it better than I can and more efficiently and like is
Yeah,
more passionate about it, like the who not how, right? Like there is somebody that I shouldn't need to know how to do all the things. I need to find who can do them that's better at it than I am in order to make this business grow efficiently.
yeah, exactly. And the thing about that too is that there's so many people that they get wrapped up in the idea that it has to be perfect or it has to be done a certain way or it has to be done by them, otherwise it has no value. And that's like literally probably impeding, I would say 75% of most entrepreneurs out there.
Going to be your demise. Yes.
Yeah, for
Let
sure.
it go.
All right, switching back to a local perspective, right? So,
Yeah.
what do you see from your consumers, and what are homeowners asking for right now when it comes to tiny homes or ADUs? Like, what do they need?
I need one level living to age in place. So I know
Okay.
everybody sees these images of tiny homes. They're showing me all these blueprints they find online that don't have the correct foundation for New Hampshire, but all of this stuff, super fun, cute to look at, loft, a little 2-story thing. I can tell you we have not even quoted an ADU with 2 stories.
You
People
know what's
don't
funny?
need them.
Okay, so I stayed in a tiny home in Costa Rica to give you guys that model walkthrough,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That thing had spiral stairs in it, up
yeah,
into the loft. Okay, I'm a very able-bodied, almost 40-year-old man. I almost fell down those
yeah.
things. So I can
Grandma's not
only
using that
imagine being
stairway.
70 years old. I would have broke a hip. I would have like there would have
Yeah.
been somebody sued somewhere because like it looks cool, but I can tell you as somebody that's used stairs in a tiny home, it is not practical.
I suppose if you wanted to throw it up because you had the ceiling height anyways, so you wanted to throw it up there and let the grandkids come over and run around, like that's great. But in terms of like practicality and who's actually living there, the people living there are not utilizing a second floor.
And so you guys only literally only request for one-story properties or
Correct.
builds?
Correct.
Huh. See, I would have thought there would be a little bit more variety than that. What would you say like the percentage of the aging parents of the builds are you getting? Is it all?
We have, it's 90%.
Okay.
90%. Out of 10 jobs, one of them is not going to be for aging parents.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. That's okay. Huh. Well, if it's that much of the market, then this is another good question. Like, where do you see it going in the next 3 to 5 years?
I would hope in the next 3 to 5 years, 5 years especially, by year 5, I would think that it's assumed or more of the norm to have an ADU on your property. So when you're going to list your home for sale or you're a buyer and you're going out looking for a home, I think there's going to be some level of expectation there that we're going to expect that if there's not already an ADU there, we can put one on. And we know who to contact to put one on. This is not such an overwhelming and daunting process 5 years from now. That there's, well, more companies like us. I think abundance mindset is everything. Like that we could build 300 of these things a year and never even touch the need for housing and for that New Hampshire needs and for ADUs that are families wanting to build them, right? So yeah, I think that the expectation in 5 years and where this is going to be in 5 years is that there's a single family home, there should be an ADU with it.
It's so interesting, and I bet you with every single one of these that I do, it's going to be a different answer. What I've actually learned by talking to
What did Brad say?
Huh?
What did Brad say?
Brad talks about in Arizona and a lot of the West Coast, actually, there is laws and provisions in place already where people can take old like land that's maybe like ready to be rezoned or something like that, and then purchase it under a trust, under a land trust. And then what they do is they knock down any existing structures, and then they'll put like 4, 5, 6 ADUs all on that property, and then get it rezoned. And then once they get it rezoned under the land trust, then what they can do is they can actually sell the mortgage to the ADU just the way that you would a regular house, and only sell it for 150, 250, but the person will own the property or own the rights to the home, but not the land that the home is on. That stays with the trust.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And this is actually already a well-established principle in like other countries where like they run a lot of those masterminds where you can rent like big ass mansions at. So like in the Philippines or in Thailand or Vietnam and stuff like that. I've seen actually these houses that are famous for mastermind groups be put on the market for sale. And then it's like a 20-year land lease. And all you're doing is leasing the land, and then you're buying the property on top of it.
Yep.
Right.
Similar maybe out here to what's called the cluster development. So those are starting to gain traction in New Hampshire too. They're basically just areas of land. New Hampshire's real big on our green space. Like I said, we're kind of rural in some areas. So there's a lot of push and incentive to keep the green space there and, not be developing too heavily, but also there's this fine balance where we do need housing. So
yeah, you guys need to
supply
the houses for the population growth. Yeah.
So a cluster development is kind of our way of like checking both those boxes where we have this tract of land and we're clustering all of the homes in one section. And so we're foregoing like minimum lot size, stuff like that, in order to protect the remaining area of the lot, which is going to stay green space, which New Hampshire likes. So I think that sounds probably
a lot of that too.
Yeah. So I think add that to my 5-year plan, right? I think it's going to be expected and kind of the norm that there are tiny home developments that people can purchase homes from, whether it's to age in place or first time home buyer or something like that.
It'll be well, like let's even cut it to 12 months. Do you guys think you could get into that game in 12 months, or would you guys even be interested in that at this stage?
Oh, we'll be in the game before 12 months for a cluster development of tiny homes for sure. We're already working on it.
Yeah, because that's literally my last question before I let you get back to your busy afternoon. Like, fast forward another 12 months, what's the big vision or goal that you're building on now?
Yeah, is a Construct Tiny Village, because these things they're the new starter homes. We can build a
They are.
1,000 square foot, 2 bed, bath and a half home in 3 months. So if we can start pumping these out and get them on the market, and they're listed at median home price in New Hampshire right now is over $500,000. So the real estate
That's
market's just,
insane.
it's insane. And it's so difficult and the interest rate's still over 6%. So
I was going to ask
buying.
about that actually. Like, have you guys seen like, because I know it dropped to 0.5% or 1/4%, and then it's going like they scheduled another drop
Yeah.
that they said is likely to happen. Has that actually had an increase in response rate? Like, have people been responding more since that news,
Um,
or
not
is it not enough to move the
heavily
needle?
that I've seen. It's kind of a slow trickle. I think the average consumer now, because of the real estate kind of bubble we've been in for so long, is
Mhm.
a little bit more educated than they were maybe 7 or 8 years ago. So
Uh-huh.
I think there's some trepidation there and some more, just if we're going to move forward to buy this house, let's really understand the interest rate and what this means for the monthly payment kind of thing. So not that I've seen. I haven't seen this big boom of like, buying. It's definitely starting to shift right now where we're at in
Mhm.
terms of from a seller's market to a buyer's market. So that's been interesting to see. Um, but I don't know. It's so hard. We'll see.
Okay. I wonder if they're actually going to drop it even more than that next year.
What goes up must come down, right? Who
Yeah,
knows?
right. All right, Jess, it has been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for spending this hour with me and providing all this valuable information to our clients and our audience as well. So
Yep.
everybody that's here, you can check her out at constructtinyhomes.com or Construct Tiny Homes on Instagram. They have a
Yep.
ton of useful content. They've got a ton of great stuff out there. They are one of our better people when it comes to content and being able to provide value to the community with it. And we'd love for you guys to check them out. Jess, is there anything in particular you'd like to plug or anything that you'd like to make sure that your audience knows about that maybe we haven't covered?
I think, well, thanks to Mayhem for getting us all this helpful content. It's so helpful when we can just take B-roll and like, vomit that onto your
Yeah,
plate, and then it
puts
comes
it on
back
our
to
plate.
us as something that's way nicer than what it was when we gave it to you. So that's been a game changer for sure. We get compliments all the time on our social media and how people love it. And honestly, it's a little bit of me doing reels. It's just kind of posting every day, and then it's the good stuff that you guys give us, and we're putting that up there too. And it really sets us above and beyond other builders that aren't doing this, and it's the simplest thing to do. So thank you for that. So yeah, just helping us
Love
get
it.
the word out and educate.